We talked a little bit about the quarterbacks last week. Jackson Arnold heading into his first start for the Auburn Tigers. Um, what do you expect coming out of the gate? First series, second series. What is Hugh Freeze thinking to protect his quarterback, but at the same time to give him a chance to hit some of these receivers that we've talked so much about?
And again, we've talked about this before. I mean, I played quarterback my whole life. I coached quarterbacks my whole life. And getting quarterbacks, giving them some what we would refer to as no-brainers early in the game. Catch the ball, throw the ball to here, wide receiver screens, hitch routes, swing the ball to the back with a running type of screen where he starts out the game 6 for 6 or 7 for 7 or 8 for 8 and feels good about himself. And you make a few first downs that way without having to do anything really special, just work within the system. And also, I think, especially early in the game, if you get in a third and long, you just don't. It's okay to punt. You know, run a draw. Hand the ball off to somebody. He may break it and run off with it, but it's okay to punt. Don't do anything early that causes you a possession or causes you field position, and let the game sort of come to him a little bit. And I think they'll do a good job with him with that.
We were talking a little bit during the break about Auburn's depth situation. And the depth chart came out on Monday of this week. And you can see at every position that Auburn has at least two deep now, and some probably three deep, but they have the or in there
Right.
between players where this guy could go or this guy could go. There's not a lot of difference you would gather from reading that depth chart. So even a couple things that surprised me on the depth chart. Riddick on defense is having a little competition there at linebacker.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And also Horatio Fields, we talked about that one, seems to be number one or number two on the depth chart with Perry Thompson there. But he seems like a guy who's going to make a difference in this Auburn offense.
When you've got, six guys listed in the oars, for instance, at wide receiver, if those guys can, if all those guys can play and all those guys can be interchangeable, and a lot of times it really is it's really not consequential other than to make you feel good about being the guy that's on the field for the first play. I mean, the guys who are the or guys may play more than the guys that are listed quote first in that stuff. So as it plays out, who we don't know who our quarterback feels good about. Who does he like? Who does he have a connection with that he knows he can throw the ball to a spot and Horatio is going to show up or Perry's going to show up, whomever that person is. It's interesting to see where he migrates to and what player he migrates to at the wide receiver position. But just the fact that we've got oars everywhere that you want to have oars is good. I mean, you're too deep in every position, and even a fifth guy mentioned in some spots that which also is going to make your special teams better. I mean, because those guys, those oar guys covering kicks for you, and on kickoff return and that kind of stuff, and those teams will be better the more of those guys that you have, and looking for really great improvement in the kicking game this year.
What do you see in this ball game? My gut feeling is the defense is going to play pretty well, like they did last year. And you mentioned the run. Does Hugh Freeze go to the run in this ball game, or is that something that is just not what Hugh Freeze wants to do with the way he's recruited all these receivers?
Well, I think again, when you can run the football, then now you're going to get one-on-one matchups on outside. You force people into one high safety as opposed to two. And it makes everything, my son and I were looking at something the other day and on a pass route, he said, how do you stop this? And I said, well, they're running it against cover three. Everything's good against cover three, and if you can force them into cover three or man free one high work,
yeah,
then your throwing game's just going to be that much better. But if somebody can stay two high safeties against you and you outnumber them in the box and you still can't run the football against them, I mean, there's not many answers for that. And it ends up being a nightmare for your quarterback. So got to establish the run. Hugh likes to run a trick play here and there. I wouldn't be, what's the Bobby Bowden thing used to be? Run your trick play before they run theirs. I certainly wouldn't be surprised if we run one early. and because you've had all summer to work on it, so why not throw it out there pretty quick? So I'd be excited to see if that happens.
Yeah. And the other thing I think of in reading and watching this week is the stadium is not overwhelmingly big at Baylor. It's not going to be intimidating for Auburn, obviously. And I think 45,000 seats down there. And the Auburn fans, at last check, had bought about 15,000 of those tickets. So that's going to be interesting to see what kind of effect that has on Auburn, what kind of effect the Auburn fans have on Baylor.
Right. And I think, I mean, you as an Auburn person and playing Baylor, and Baylor has had, RG3, Baylor has had some good football teams, but at the end of the day, we expect to beat Baylor's. I mean, we just do. And we'd be very disappointed if we don't go in there. And I mean, we will play in much more hostile environments against much better teams down the stretch. And we need to go in there and play physical and get after them.